Welcome to What's the Huge Deal Sports Podcast. My name is Hunter Brownsy, and alongside me, as always, is Parker Francis and Johnny Lennox as we break down Week 9 of the NFL and discuss our favorite teams going forward, as well as our NFC and AFC championship predictions. But before we do, how are you both doing today?
Doing fine. How are you?
Good. It was a boring day.
I agree.
I agree.
I'm
Not too scary.
I can say I'm loving life, unlike I'm not loving the Packers, but I'm loving what's future for the Packers because that is in fact Jordan Love. But we can wait for that.
The future might be here, might be near.
I've
The
been saying
future
it.
might just be near.
It's been my take for a while now. I just look more right every week, but I'll wait.
All right, I guess we
Don't
can
take
get
a
into
victory. Don't be taking a victory lap yet. He ain't even started the game this year.
Oh, he will be.
I guess we can get into the fantasy shocks then. Normally it's the top 5, but this week I thought that there were 4 standout players, so we've got 4. So we've got Justin Fields, who had a record-breaking performance, 178 yards rushing, 123 passing yards, 4 total touchdowns, and that was 42 fantasy points, which no doubt his best performance of his career.
I've been saying he's a dude. He's the dude. But go ahead.
That broke the most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game in NFL history. So good for him. Then we have Joe Mixon, who just had a crazy, crazy week. 153 rushing yards, 58 receiving, 5 total touchdowns, 55 fantasy points. That's a crazy week from him. And then we had the Patriots defense. They blocked a kick. They had a defensive touchdown, an interception, 9 sacks. They only gave up 3 points, and that was 26 fantasy points for them. And then last we had Dallas Goedert, who had been really great this year, but he had his best fantasy performance of the year. 100 yards receiving and a touchdown, 24 fantasy points.
I think you could have threw Kenyon Drake in there. I think he had 24. I don't think he's gone over like 15 this year.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns yesterday, I think.
So I could be completely wrong, but I know I almost picked him up in fantasy, but I just didn't bother because I would have to drop somebody. And if I picked him up, I would have won, but I didn't have any hope. But yeah, I think I had Mark Andrews starting in my flex, and he didn't play. So I didn't feel like dropping anybody. Turns out it was a bad idea, but I'll get over it.
He'll recover.
Hopefully. I'm like, no, I won't. I changed my profile picture to Titanic sinking because it's over.
Oh, boy.
But are we hopping into the Packers?
Yeah, might as well.
Fine.
So far, I think I've had 2 takes I have said on the podcast. One was Justin Fields is actually going to be a stud. As you can see in the good old fantasy shocks this week, I was correct. He's looking better and better every week. He's having a great offense. He's leading that offense to great outcomes. My second one, which is starting to look better and better, which I don't think I went fully into depth on it, but Jordan Love should be the guy, and he is the guy for the Green Bay Packers. And I actually said that. I don't know if you guys heard me say this, but I know definitely my father did. Jordan Love should have been the guy at the start of the season.
I very much disagree.
I do not. I think I did not like
the downfall of the Packers is not due to Rodgers. The downfall of the Packers is due to just straight up mismanagement from up high, like from up in the management, like getting rid of Devontae Adams, cutting Zadarius. I understand you had to cut Zadarius Smith because like cap reasons, but it's like there were so many things that went into this Packers team not being good. And they got very, very greedy about Aaron Rodgers, and they just kind of felt like, oh, he's a back-to-back MVP. We don't need Devontae Adams. We'll just hope that Allen Lazard becomes wide receiver 1, or we'll draft Romeo Doubs in the 4th round and hope he becomes wide receiver 1. And so far, neither of them have looked like a true wide receiver 1. Their offense is not moving the way that it was a year ago. They have no true deep threat. They have no guy that can just go over the middle of the field and pick up chunk yards. Like, this is not Rodgers at all. And the Packers definitely should have paid Rodgers. The issue was they paid him so much money. He demanded so much money. They could not physically build a team around him
Okay.
at the time.
Thank you for cutting me off. I was still going, but
Well, I don't care. You said you said something wasn't true.
Well, I was about to clarify it. The Rodgers re-signing, I understand he won 2 back-to-back MVPs. He lost his number 1 guy. In my opinion, that is time to rebuild. We have good sets, but paying Aaron Rodgers, I don't even know how much we paid him, to come back for 4 years and just knowing he can retire in a year, I did not like that. I was not a big fan of that re-signing. I love Aaron Rodgers. He's great for the franchise, but I do not like that move. I think it was time to reset. We lost his number 1 option. We lost a few defensive people, really just Darius, but there's a few others. Bakhtiari's banged up. Elkton Jenkins out with the ACL beginning of the year. I think that was the perfect time. Hit the reset button, bring Jordan Love in, basically throw this year in the fucking can, and see what we need to improve for next year. And now we're a step behind because Aaron Rodgers has nobody to throw to besides Lazard, who's actually looked pretty good. Dobbs has looked good at times, but he's hurt now. I just think we're just one step behind. Next year is going to be what could have been this year. My dinner's here. Madison Street got a ranch wrap. Very excited to eat that in the upcoming hour.
I live on Madison Street. So
you do.
Nobody find my address though.
Yeah, I don't know why you should not have announced that.
Madison Street's a very long street. It's gonna be hard to find me.
It is. But yeah, basically that's it. I just think we're one step behind from when we didn't have to be. And I understand the re-signing. He won back-to-back MVPs, but I myself was not a big fan of it.
It's one of them things that when you get that franchise guy, you do everything you can to keep him and not let go of him. And for a guy who has been there for that long, you don't really have an option but to re-sign the guy and give him the money that he deserves and the money that he wants. And it's kind of just
that's coming down. Yeah, that's like a rule of thumb. That's kind of a moral thing. But if you're going from like a team standpoint, you have to know when it's just time to let him go. In my opinion, that was this year. I know a lot of people disagree with me. I know you two disagree with me. But if I was Banker, I don't know what the GM's name is. I just know he sucks. But if I was him, I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have got re-signed. If he did get re-signed, it would have been for pretty cheap.
You guys are biased Packers fans, so you guys are going to have like your own, which I'm a biased Rams fan. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like, so I'm kind of like an outsider in this whole thing. And I definitely agree with them re-signing Rodgers. I definitely think even if it wasn't for 4 years, Rodgers needed a 4-year deal to know that if he wanted to play for 4 more years, he would have security. That was kind of his big deal this offseason was like, I'm going to come back, but I'm not going to come back on a 1-year or a 2-year deal. I'm going to come back on a 4-year deal, and I'm going to be here as long as I want to be. Which, when you're a guy like Rodgers and you've been so successful in this league, I think you have the right to make those types of claims, and you have the right to kind of force them to give you that contract. But I also feel that you drafted Jordan Love for a reason. I mean, you took a first-round pick on this guy. So from one point of view, it's like, well, why would you re-sign Rodgers for at least, 2 more seasons if he's not going to retire by then? And, force Jordan Love to either sit behind him or trade Jordan Love away and kind of admit that it was a waste of a pick. But at the same time, maybe this is them trying to buy more time because they know that Jordan Love at the beginning of the season was not ready to start in this league, which at this point he should be ready. 2 years in, you're sitting behind Rodgers, you should know the system. So it's like, to me, not only was it we want to retain Rodgers because he's an MVP and he's been that guy for so long, but also Jordan Love's not that guy, and we fucked up on that pick. And if we show everyone how much we fucked up on that pick, we're gonna get fired. I think is a little bit of what they. And I'm not saying Jordan Love is bad, but what I'm saying is they don't think he was good enough to start this year. And for a lot of fans, like a 3rd-year rookie quarterback should be ready to start in this league. It should be somewhat of a force in this league, and maybe they just weren't ready for him to be that guy yet.
I mean, from what I see, the teammates love Jordan Love. I don't know if they love him more than Rodgers because I don't know how you could. He's maybe the most talented, not necessarily the GOAT, but the most talented quarterback of all time. I mean,
I would love Jordan Love more. I think Rodgers is like kind of a douche. But
yeah, but
as
if
a human,
if you're trying to win games, you're gonna go with that dude that's maybe the most talented quarterback of all time, which I might be biased speaking, but that's okay because I'm a Packers fan. But
you did kind of say too that you wanted like them to hit the reset button and like kind of
yes,
rebuild, which I also completely disagree with. That defense, when you look at the star power, Kenny Clark's one of the best D tackles in the league, one
oh
of the
yeah,
best three techs in
100%.
the league. Rashawn Gary's an up and coming great edge rusher. You have Jair Alexander, you have Rasul Douglas, you have Eric Stokes who broke out last year. Like you have all the star tap power on that defense to be a very competitive team. The last thing the Packers were thinking, oh, we lost in the divisional round in some crazy weather game that if the conditions were different, we probably would have won. Let's go ahead and hit the complete reset button.
Yeah, I think
That's definitely never went through their head. I don't think they ever really thought that, but them trading away Adams does kind of make you think they were kind of moving in that direction. But at the same time, I think their thought process was, okay, Devontae Adams wants out. We don't have a replacement for him. There's no way Jordan Love is going to be able to come into this system without a number one quarterback and succeed. So that means we have to re-sign Rodgers, or this offense is not going to do anything. I think was kind of their thought process. Like,
I think
not look.
I think I misused the word there. I was just kind of like meaning it's time to get rid of our base offensive. I mean, being Devontae and Rodgers, of course. Bakhtiari being kind of a 50-50 coming in the year. Same with Jenkins and Tanyan. He had an ACL tear too. I think it was just kind of a pass the torch, see what we got. Next year, if we need to improve, we can improve. I mean, stack quarterback your class. If we do suck, we're going to be in the top 10 to get a good quarterback. That's kind of what I meant by that, but I definitely misused the word.
Did they draft a guy though? There's no way they draft a guy.
If they draft a quarterback,
it's either Jordan Love. It's either Jordan Love or they're trading for somebody. They are not drafting another
I'll be a
quarterback.
Bears fan if they draft a quarterback.
There's no way.
I'll back my favorite player in the NFL, Justin Fields. Which is horrible to say as a Packer fan, but I love that dude.
Yeah, rival.
Nah, he'll be a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I do. I do like the Raiders. I've had a card shirt in my closet for probably like 5 years now, so I'm a loyal fan.
Even though Josh McDaniels is literally a clown, he's bad.
Well,
that's a different story, though.
Whole Packers
that's a different story.
Clown.
Parker or Hunter, what'd you have to say?
I was kind of wondering, Parker, if the Packers were to not re-sign Rodgers during the offseason, how do you think that would look? Like, where would Rodgers have ended up?
I think Rodgers would have retired. If not, he would have gone.
And
go ahead.
How do you think the majority of Packers fans like you and I would have reacted to that?
Well, like I've said, I was kind of ready for it. I think everybody thought he was going to retire after the divisional. Everybody kind of had that in the back of their mind. I know I did. I was kind of ready for it. I mean, a lot of people have probably been angry, but I think it's kind of yeah, he's a franchise guy, but if it's time to move on, you can't hold on to it. Back-to-back MVPs, it's hard to let go of. But re-signing, he's obviously going to want a ton of money because he did just win back-to-back MVPs, and we don't have the most cap space by any means. So, I mean, understandable. People are going to be a little pissed off, but I think people are more pissed off right now at the whole Packers team.
I just think a lot of it has to do with the fact that us as Packers fans are spoiled, and I'm not going to be the one to jump on the train of super bad year. Rodgers is playing terrible. Us as Packers fans have been very, very fortunate and very blessed that through most of our young lives have seen a Packers winning football team.
Oh yeah, I have
pretty much as long as I can remember.
Fun fact,
so now
go ahead.
And now that we're kind of having that down year, everyone's quick to blame Rodgers. I mean, you see stupid people out there saying that LaFleur's on the hot seat, which is not true.
Not true at all.
And so it's just things like that we're not used to seeing this. And it's really no surprise to me, as I doubt it is to any other football fan or Packers fan out there, that the Packers were kind of destined to take a step back this year. Now, yeah. I don't think to the extent of what they have, but when it's kind of just proven at this point when you have a quarterback who signed such a big contract like that and is getting paid that big money that you're just not going to be quite as successful. That's why these teams that want to win and build around their quarterback is when their quarterback is young and on the rookie deal, making that rookie money.
And that's why, since Tom Brady doesn't take the big deals, that's why he's seen as the GOAT, because he has enough money to build around him. Which I don't like Tom Brady, because I like Aaron Rodgers, of course. But I mean, he's just selfless unless it comes to marriage, in which case it does not seem the point. But I mean, he just gives up money for this team, and that's why he's successful. And Aaron Rodgers kind of took the money, robbed himself of a wide receiver, most likely. And that's kind of why we are where we are today. We just give the ball to Jordan Love. We have a lot of money. Maybe keep Devontae, but I think he wanted to go to Oakland anyway.
In a way, I feel like Rodgers has been kind of that guy, that selfless guy in his career, though, where like he has taken pay cuts and he has
Which he
kind of been like
has,
the team first
but
guy. And I think at this point in his career, I understand where he's coming from. Like, look, I want that big contract. I want to be compensated for what I've done. But at the same time, you're getting near the end of your career. So what are you going to want to be remembered as most? Are you going to want to be remembered as a guy who went after that big contract and basically torched any chances of him winning another Super Bowl? Or do we known as that guy that took the super pay cut, came back to a team on a very, very cheap deal, allowed them to build around you, and went out and won one more Super Bowl before you retired, which I think maybe he didn't consider enough, I guess, you know?
I just looked over my other monitor. I thought I didn't hit the record button, but I did. I just had my mouse over it. I got really scared.
Oh, God.
That could have been really bad.
I would have cried.
Yeah, I just think the Packers are in a really bad spot right now. Injuries are definitely plaguing them too. This is not completely just like this is not just like a completely coaching breakdown and like not having Devontae Adams. Like this is very much so the offensive line being completely torn up with injuries, the defense being torn up with injuries, the weapons being out. But
The
at the same time,
defensive
this is
coordinator having a concussion. I'm just gonna say he has a concussion. I'm not gonna say anything else.
As a Rams fan, I can feel you there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that last drive. If we're done with the Packers, we can just switch right over.
Oh, we're gonna switch into the Rams now.
Yeah. If you
I'm not even sure I want to talk about this fucking godforsaken team anymore. I'm gonna be honest. They
I
are.
love talking about them just because I'm
They
right.
are like Sundays at this point. It for us because we all watch football together. For those of you listeners that don't know, we watch football pretty much every Sunday, and it goes 12 o'clock. We watch the terrible Packers game. We watch the Packers lose, and then 3:25 we turn on the Rams game, and we get to watch them fucking suck as well. So we get to watch a lot of bad football on Sundays, and we get a lot of it when we're watching Rams games. Like this offense has 0.0 explosives outside of one guy in Cooper Kupp. The offensive line is terrible. This point, the offensive line is getting back to where it was. David Edwards is still up, but Brian Allen made his return. Still, we are terrible. I mean, the offensive line is horrific. We have no really running backs that can help in the blocking scheme. Nobody that can get downfield and make a play besides Cooper Kupp. It's completely intolerable to watch. But the thing that kept us in that game the entire game was our defense. Our defense played outstanding. We did not allow the Buccaneers to find the end zone until what 6 seconds left in the game. What was it when they scored? Like we literally were playing such a solid game. Our corners were locked down. Ramsey had a great game. Aaron Donald had an outstanding game. Bobby Wagner had a great game. Like the stars were showing out. We were making tackles. They were not getting the run game going. Tom Brady was trying to check down. He was trying to get the ball down the field. It wasn't working. Our defense was playing outstanding. Even Darion Kendrick was having somewhat of a good game, and he's been struggling the last couple weeks. And then we get in to the final situation. Well, first offensively, it's 3rd and 5 from our own 15. And I get where McVay's coming from. You run the football, you keep the clock going, you give him the football back with as little time as you can. But you pick up a first down there and you win the game. They have no timeouts left. One more first down and you win that game. We're paying Matthew Stafford all this money. We signed Cooper Kupp to a big deal. We signed Allen Robinson in the offseason. Our entire offseason was get rid of pieces that are going to like help elevate the team and go get pieces that are going to top load our team. We don't have many role players. We have a lot of top loaded talent. And we just kind of don't want to use it. We're like, nope, we're just going to hand the football off, take our 1 yard run, punt it to with 45 seconds left. Which in Reality very much should have worked, considering they have not gotten in the end zone one time. We were up by 4. The defense has been playing so well. There's no reason we should have lost that game. But at the same time, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, okay, then why don't we just throw the ball, get the first down? Because then it doesn't matter how much time's on the clock. They're going to have no timeouts, and their offense hasn't been able to move at all. So I can see both sides. People were really, really getting mad at us running the football there. I wasn't a guy who was like super, super mad at that. What I was mad about was the way we approached that last drive. So there's like 45 seconds left, and we're not even in like cover 3. We're in like full on prevent defense. And they're at like their own 45. They have 40 seconds to score, and we're in prevent defense. Now, I agree you can do this till they get to about your 30 or your 25-yard line. The issue was they were at our 15-yard line, and Darion Kendrick was 10 yards off his receiver. 10. Scotty Miller ran the exact same route. Cade Otton, they both ran out routes to Darion Kendrick's side like 4 plays in a row, and they drove down the field in 25 seconds. This is a team that was not able to make any type of push whatsoever the entire game. And Raheem Morris goes, you know what we should do about that? Let's play complete prevent defense and just let Tom Brady do what he does best and just carve and carve and carve. It was so sad to watch. And then, so basically, Raheem Morris's thought process was, we're going to play prevent defense till they get to the goal line. And then we're going to, I don't know, play man. Like, you're not going to score on us on man. I don't know what his thought process was, but it was ridiculous. And then we get that pass interference on the goal line. It was so bad. It was so hard to watch. And it was just a complete depletion of the football game. It was terrible to watch. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were. You guys watched the game with me. That was horrific. And I was pointing out the entire game. That whole last drive, I was pointing out how we were playing way too far off, guys. They're carving us up. There's no reason for us to be doing this. And it seemed we didn't even make a change. They were in the red zone, and we still just did not make a change. It was cover 6 prevent defense. Still, it made no sense to me at all.
The game should have been played very different. There's no reason, like you said, for them to be in that prevent defense. I also don't hate the idea for them to run the football there on that third down, because it did end up taking, 40 more seconds off the clock than what it would have if you had chosen to throw and not convert on that third down. So I think, you could have gone either way on that third down. I definitely don't hate the fact that you're going the route of trusting the defense, but then trust the defense. Don't let them nickel and dime down.
That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
You're putting their.
Go ahead.
They were running press coverage. They were running press coverage and giving 10-yard cushion on everybody else. So it's like you're trying to stop Mike Evans, but nobody else. I don't know. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either.
No, that game was pretty trash. I actually played Mario Kart during some of it.
He did.
I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. But
I completely get not trusting Darion Kendrick completely. He is a rookie corner. He obviously is going to have mistakes. He hasn't been playing insane the last couple weeks. But to have so little trust, this guy's a starter. Like, he's starting on this team. David Long is back. Troy Hill is back. And I know Troy Hill's more of a slot guy, but still, you are starting this rookie. You have put trust in this guy to start on your football team. And you have so little trust in him that not only are you not going to put him even 5 yards in front of him, you're going to put him 12 yards behind a receiver in crunch time where they can get out of bounds. They have the entire boundary to use. They were giving up the entire boundary. Anything outside the numbers was just free. They were taking free 12, 15-yard pickups every single play because we just refused to play up on them. And it wasn't even a thing where we were playing 12 yards off and then slowly making our way down to try to take away the underneath. It was, we're playing 12 yards off, and then we're also going to backpedal as soon as the ball snapped. It was insane. It was really insane. It was like the exact opposite of that Jets-Raiders game last year where the Jets ran a 0 blitz and Henry Ruggs took the top off them to win the game. It's like they were so scared of getting the big play thrown on them that they just gave up 20 yards of separation and said, fine, then just carve us up. Brady, hey, Tom Brady, do the thing you've done for the last 25 years and just win the game. We handed the game to him. It was so insane. Totally mismanaged. And I have not been a guy who has been on like the fire Raheem Morris train. I know a lot of people are like, they see the underwhelming defense. They're like, oh, we have to fire Raheem Morris. No, he was really, really good last year when he had all the talent and he was able to scheme up some blitzes and some 5-man fronts with Von Miller. But that game was insane, insanely mismanaged, insanely terrible to finish. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. You give a guy like Brady that much of a cushion, he's gonna win. He's going to. There's no way he doesn't. That was horrific. A terrible way to end the game. A bad football game in general, but an even worse way to finish it.
So definitely. Go ahead.
Do you guys want to now discuss kind of the Rams season as a whole?
Bad? Worst offense in the NFL?
Well, I do kind of have some stuff on them. So the team is 32nd in protection rate, which means Matthew Stafford has the least time to throw among every other football team in the league this year. And a big portion of that being with the Rams offensive line dealing with injuries. And they've kind of, with how bad that line has been, they actually have kind of overcame that pretty well, as Stafford has been pretty decent under pressure. Who he's 6th in pressured accuracy rating, and so without him being that high, I mean that team could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's some good on Stafford's side, I guess. But they're 28th in the league in target receiver target separation. And so part of that's on the fact of the receiver's not getting open or Stafford not finding the right receiver, a little mixture of both. And then Rams seem to struggle in man coverage, and he has 8 interceptions. So there's some good, some bad there. But that offensive line.
I think he played fairly well in the Bucks game. Like I didn't have a whole lot of complaints. The throw to Cup was nice. It seemed like they were getting some stuff underneath, but he didn't. It was kind of like a very mid game. Like it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like an amazing Stafford game. But at the same time, nobody was really winning downfield. Like we had really one explosive play the entire game. The run game wasn't explosive at all. Really, Darrell Henderson had a couple of good runs, but that was about it. Like the offense just wasn't moving. Like neither offenses were moving. Both defenses are playing really, really well. Vita Vea had a unreal game. I mean, he played outstanding. He was everywhere all the time. And yeah, it was really hard to move the football for both offenses the entire game. So really explosive plays were what was going to win this football game until that final drive when Raheem Morris decided to just handle the football game. That was insane. Terrible game. Like if I wasn't a Rams fan, that game would have been turned off probably by halftime. But I forced myself to watch it.
I did not force myself to watch it.
Well, you were still pretty torn up about the fucking Packers losing the Lions. That was ridiculous.
Well, I mean, after at halftime, Hunter actually said, "I can't believe we're going to lose this game," and I said, "There's no way we lose this game." And then the fourth quarter hit, and I understood we were not winning the game. So at that point, I was already coping.
We didn't really talk about the Packers game much. We just talked kind of about the Packers. What were you guys' thoughts on that Packers game this Sunday?
Just injuries killed us this week. Watkins doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, Dobbs. How do we start the same time every time?
Go for it.
I mean, injuries killed us on the offense for sure. Dobbs goes out literally the first play of the game that he's on the field for. Catches a nice ball. Gets absolutely torched. Now he's out 6 weeks with an ankle injury. Watkins, I don't know if it's necessarily an injury, but it seems like he goes brain dead. He doesn't know what route he's running. I mean, the last play of the game, he runs the wrong route. One time in the end zone, he runs the wrong route. Aaron Rodgers throws 3 picks. Jordan Love could go out there and throw 3 picks. I don't think he throws any more than that, even if he does suck. Jordan Love can suck for a lot less money. I mean, I'm a big Jordan Love believer, as everybody on this podcast should know. I'm going to a game. I'm going to the Tennessee Titans game in about a week and a half on Thursday night. I will be buying a Jordan Love jersey there, and I will be wearing it. And if I get scolds, I don't care. It's Love season. And if Rodgers has a great game, I'll still be wearing it because Love's the guy. But Hunter, what did you think?
I think in terms of the Packers game, it's the same story every week. The defense still underperforms, but is no doubt our best unit on the field at all times. And the defense was fine.
Gary tears his ACL.
Well,
I think with all the injuries they had, I think the defense played really well. They held Goff to like 120 yards.
Stokes goes out.
Especially to an offense that have been pretty high-powered this year, despite their record not being very good. But yeah, our defense was no doubt yet again the best unit on the field for us, and our offense just has to put points on the board. We have to be better in the red zone. We pretty much every time we had the football, we crossed midfield besides late in the second quarter, right before halftime. And if you're gonna cross midfield like that, how do you only put up very few points like we did? And so it comes down to capitalizing on opportunities and being better in the red zone. The red zone is where the football matters, and you have to lock it down and get it together in the red zone. And they just couldn't do it today. Couldn't do it. I mean,
if I had to guess, I feel like the Packers won the possession battle. I feel like they had better time possession. I feel like they were actually moving down the field. They were getting a lot done. This game really came down to the fact that Rodgers was terrible in the red zone. He was actually terrible. Like this was one of the first games where I actually understood that Rodgers is really playing bad this year, dude. Like throwing that ball, that play to Bakhtiari that was completely blown up and picked up. Not only was that just like a weird play call, but to underthrow him by like 7 yards was really, really weird. The first interception wasn't like it was his fault. I guess when a ball goes off a lineman's helmet, you don't want to think it's like completely the quarterback's fault, but it was. He threw it directly off bro's helmet, like just not really very aware. And that last pick, I know some people were talking about was it Tunyon that ran the wrong route, or he kind of like bananaed the route a little bit. He didn't like run it super sharp. He still threw it in double coverage. Whether he bananaed the route or not, that ball was thrown into double coverage. Not a great throw. Like he had a bad game. Rodgers like truly played bad.
And it actually was a good throw on that one to Tunyon. It was a good throw and actually a pretty solid read.
It was a terrible decision.
Yeah, bad decision.
He just didn't have quite enough zip on the football, and the route was jumped. I mean, I don't think I saw the read, and it was.
I don't like that play because this was the third pick you've had on their side of the 50. Like this is the third drive that you guys have been cooking, moving down the field at will, and then you turn the football over again. You know what I mean? Like it had to be very, very frustrating for the rest of the team.
And then
for your leader to be doing that.
You say we get on that side of the field, and if we get fourth down, once again we're sticking with Mason Crosby, who was a great kicker, but he's getting old now, coming off a knee injury, I believe. Much like the Aaron Rodgers situation, obviously he hasn't taken a ton of cap, but I mean it's time to move on from Crosby. You just can't kick it more than 50 yards anymore. Definitely time to get rid of him. Borderline time to get rid of him. Go ahead.
It was very, very weird to me that they were on, I think, the Lions 36, and it was 4th and 3, and I want to say they were down 6 or something like that, and they didn't even think about a field goal. They were at the Lions 38-yard line. That's a 55-yarder, and they weren't even considering sending Crosby on the field.
No.
You have to get somebody better. I don't care how long Mason Crosby's been there. I know kicker is not super important, but if you have a 55-yard field goal in front of you to make it a 3-point game in the fourth quarter, and you're like, no, we're not even going to think about it. That's bad, dude.
You say you guys Justin Tucker. Who knows how that game comes out, in full honesty.
Yeah, I mean, just somebody that's going to be reliable, because it's pretty clear that Mason Crosby needs to either
Crosby's
be cut
reliable,
or
but within the 50-yard line kicking.
he's somewhat reliable. He's not insanely reliable.
No,
like,
definitely not a Pro Bowler, but I'd take him over double doink Parkey any day.
Yeah, I guess.
And what was
so weird?
And then after the game, multiple things on Twitter that I saw. Rodgers looks at somebody wide open, and then twists his hips and throws out of bounds instead. I think it was Tuvray. He was wide open coming across the middle. Rodgers, it looks like he just literally looks right at him and then just throws it out of bounds. And he's wide open. Potentially
Rodgers
a touchdown.
Is not having fun this year.
No,
Rodgers, like, he looks so miserable all the time. And, like, half the time the camera, and this is coming from a guy who's watched all 9 Packers games at this point, he looks so frustrated, like, no matter what. Like, even when they complete a play, he just looks confused at the play call. And he seems to be getting really, really mad at LaFleur, and he doesn't seem like he likes the plays that he's calling. He doesn't seem like he's having a good time, like, at all. He looks so frustrated 24/7, and it's something I've never seen out of Rodgers. Like, he's always been kind of bitter, but he's never just looked straight up so mad all the time at every play call, every play. He's not having fun at all. I think he's done. I think this is actually his last year. I cannot see him now retiring.
I love Rodgers and I love what he did for the Packers, but like I said multiple times now, it's time. It's time
this
for
is
him
at least
to move
his
on.
last year on the Packers. He is not being on the Green Bay Packers next year. There's no way.
If he goes anywhere else, I'll be very surprised, especially coming off this year.
That's what I'm saying. I think he retires, honestly.
Well, and the only way he would go somewhere else is from a trade, because he's locked on for 4 years. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I can see him wanting to go San Fran, but they put so much into Lance, who I do believe is a bust. Put that on my list of takes.
Okay, this is where your Jordan Love obsession really makes me feel weird, because him and Trey Lance have played probably the exact same amount of games, but Trey Lance has shown more flashes than Jordan Love, and he's been in the league for one less year, and he was projected to start this year. But you still think Jordan Love is that guy, but you think Trey Lance is a bust. It makes zero sense to me.
I guess I have not seen a ton of 49ers games, but the one I watched, Lance was playing, and he looked maybe like the worst NFL quarterback I've ever seen. Maybe I tuned in at a wrong time, but he looked god awful. And they were, believe they were down. And that was first week to the Bears. I think that's the game I watched before it started raining. All hell.
That game was always so rainy. I'm sure that ball, and that's the only game he played. Like, that's the only sample size we got of Trey Lance this year, was one quarter of him playing in like the worst weather conditions you could think of.
But you compare him to Fields, who is supposed to be horrible, Lance is supposed to be good. I thought Fields looked 10 times better than Lance did that game. That again, personal opinion.
Started. Yeah. I just that's where your Jordan Love obsession gets weird to me, is the fact that you are so low on Trey Lance but so high on Jordan Love.
I think Lance definitely can, but I think right now, much like Jordan Love last year, he just didn't have it. I watched Jordan Love all preseason. Most fun I've ever had watching a Packer game in the past year. I can say that. Just watching Love with that ball, you never knew it was coming. Everything was so exciting to watch. I loved watching him, and I thought he has the utmost potential, especially sitting under, once again, maybe the most talented quarterback of all time for 3 years now. I think it's time for him to get a shot.
I think Jordan Love will be good. I think he'll be kind of like, maybe like Derek Carr a little bit, in the sense of like, he'll be kind of a pocket passer type of guy. He's not going to move outside of the pocket like a whole lot, but he does have a decent arm on him, and he seems like he's reliable. But
Somebody
I don't
did not watch preseason.
The thing with me is I just don't know if he has the upside to be like a top 10 quarterback, is my thing. And I think if he did, he'd be starting by now, it's kind of my deal.
But you can't bench, like Hunter was saying, you can't just bench our guy, Aaron Rodgers, for a rookie.
Yeah, but if you saw that much potential in him, and if you saw like something in the preseason or like in the offseason, you were like, wow, this guy is so special. Maybe it's you guys just kind of let
I just don't see how you do it. Especially last year. Love didn't look great last year, but I know I read multiple things over this off season. I was gonna say summer, but it's not necessarily summer for them. During the off season, he was waking up, putting in extra work with Amari Rodgers, who does not have the greatest rep. I think he could be a decent wide receiver. Definitely not a returner. He could definitely be a decent wide receiver on the Packers for sure.
Terrible.
He should be getting. I think he should be getting more snaps than
Mhm.
Watkins.
Dude,
Watkins sucks. Whenever Amari goes in, he seems to get a reception. Seems to be 10, 12 yards on the run after. I mean,
Amari Rodgers is a slot guy though. Watkins is like an X receiver, so they play kind of different positions.
I don't care. Watkins sucks.
Yeah, they're both not good.
I mean, Amari goes in, he makes something happen normally. Watkins, he plays all game and runs the wrong route every time he's targeted. So,
if that's what it ended up being,
yeah, if that was Rodgers' fault, if that was Rodgers' fault, I don't see how he's still the starting quarterback, because that's really bad, especially coming back from if Rodgers had the wrong route, that's really bad. He's been in that offense longer than anybody there. He should know it back of his hand. He's a star. If he doesn't know the playbook, I think that's a problem.
It looked almost like it was like a judgment route too. Like Watkins was almost like supposed to read the coverage, like, and decide whether it was going to be an in-breaking or an out-breaking route, and maybe they were just on the wrong wavelength, like they didn't understand it. But I just don't think they'd be doing that. I think it was just Watkins getting it wrong. I think Watkins ran the wrong.
That's what I believe.
And Rodgers made it seem like he ran the wrong route. He was looking around like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
but then again,
what are you doing?
Rodgers looks like that if he threw a 50-yard touchdown. So you can't necessarily go off Rodgers, but he definitely did not look happy.
All right. Well, I say we wrap that up. We move into talking about good football teams. We move into our NFC and AFC championship predictions. If anybody wants to lead us off,
I'll go ahead and lead off because I'll probably have the least. Mine's not going to make too much sense. I'm just going to kind of throw teams in there. I definitely see in the NFC, I think the Eagles are going to choke. I think they're going to lose to a wild card team in the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to move on. They're going to face the 49ers. I think that McCaffrey addition was insane. I think they're going to be solid. AFC wise, I think it's going to be, I don't know how it would work out, but potentially Bills and Dolphins. Dolphins just have to get the higher wild card spot, but I can see Bills, Dolphins. Dolphins already beat them once. I can see them doing it again, but I think I want to say the Dolphins, but I think the Bills pull it off. I think it's their year. And then I have Bills, and who wins this? I'll say Bills, 49ers, Bills win in the Super Bowl.
I don't hate that at all.
All right. So my NFC, I have Vikings and 49ers. 49ers for the same reason. McCaffrey's has already showed to be huge. Debo's been hurt. We haven't really seen them two play together. That's a very, very deadly duo with a very good defense. The Vikings have just been great. They're winning football games. I mean, I know some people think that they've kind of been on the fraudulent thing, and I don't know. I think the Vikings legitimately have a shot. So I'm going to throw them in here because I also see the Eagles choking. And for the AFC, I have the Chiefs and the Dolphins. And I would have probably had the Bills in there, but Josh Allen could be out for the remainder of the year. So
that's exactly my reasoning as well.
I did not see that.
I then threw the Dolphins in there and have Dolphins Chiefs.
I have a little different of a prediction for the AFC. So I did initially have the Bills. When I heard about the UCL injury to Josh Allen, I kind of took them out because you don't know how long he's going to be out. UCL injuries are season-ending and sometimes career-ending in the MLB. If any of you guys know baseball, like that is Tommy John surgery. That is a very, very serious injury. And if that's a complete tear, he is not coming back this season, and they are going to be running with Case Keenum at quarterback unless they go and pick somebody up out of free agency. So do I trust the Bills to still win football games? Yeah, they probably still could. They're a uberly talented football team. But without Josh Allen, I do not see them making any type of playoff push whatsoever. So it really depends on if he's going to be back. So I'm going to be playing this mostly like he's not going to be back. And I have the Chiefs taking over the number 1 overall seed. and I have them making it to the AFC Championship game. I think the Chiefs are so high-powered. People are going to underestimate their offense all the time. They're one of the top teams in EPA. Travis Kelce's the best tight end in football. Pat Mahomes can make any receiver look like a really, really good receiver, and he's making that entire receiver room look way better than they are. He is a magician with the football. That defense has been overperforming this year. They played pretty solid against the Titans. I mean, it was against Malik Willis, so the passing game wasn't exactly like a threat to them, and they kind of let Derrick Henry run all over him. But for the most part, I think they played okay, and I think they will improve in the future. So I like George Karlaftis. I think he's been playing well. So I think the Chiefs will end up making the AFC Championship game, and I think they'll have a decently easier route there, possibly, depending on how the kind of seedings work out. Because I think if Josh Allen is out for a long period of time, I think the Dolphins will probably take over the AFC East and probably win that division, which would make that a high powered matchup, Chiefs versus Dolphins. But I just trust the Chiefs' playoff history. I trust them to win that game. I trust Andy Reid. I trust them to get that done. So I have the Chiefs, and I also have the Baltimore Ravens, which is a little bit of like a hot take. I don't think a lot of people are going to love that take, but I have them there because I really like Lamar Jackson. I really like Mark Andrews. But number one thing, I love their defense. I think their defense is so outstanding. I think they're going to stuff the run. I think they're going to get to the passer. I think that they have a very high upside. And I think this might be the year that Lamar Jackson finally kind of proves everybody wrong. He makes an AFC Championship game. He finds a little bit of playoff success. And yeah, that's where I see them making it.
Okay.
I think now that Josh Allen potentially could miss the year, which in a sense kind of counts the Bills out in terms of making a playoff run, I don't think that the Chiefs is as much of the Ravens as much of a hot take as what it kind of seemed like previously. But it makes sense for the Ravens to be in that spot now that.
The only reason I see this kind of hot take is because they will have to go through the Dolphins. To this point, the way I have it shaping out with the Bills' current situation is Chiefs 1, Dolphins 2, Ravens 3, or even maybe even Ravens 4, possibly. I'm going to have Ravens 3 and then Titans 4. But how does that shape out? I don't know. This is just me kind of throwing teams in there. And this is kind of how I had the bracket working out. But I like the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson is so him. I think Mark Andrews is him. Without Bateman, it's going to be really, really hard. But they have been able to find success without Bateman this season and seasons in the past without really, really high-level receivers. Like Isaiah Likely is a very, very solid backup tight end as well. He's gotten some good playing time this year. I like their defense. I trust them to make a decent playoff run. I think they will end up losing the Chiefs, though, which is kind of boring. But I have the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. They're so high-powered. Their offense is so great. I have them winning that game. And the NFC, I am with you guys. I have the Cowboys beating the Eagles in the divisional matchup. I have the Cowboys being the 5 seed. I have them beating whoever wins the AFC or the NFC South, and I have them beating the Eagles. I think their defense, their pass rush is going to be way too much. I think they have the only pass rush in the NFC that can legitimately shake the Eagles' offensive line. I think they have the better corner, the decent corner room. I think their offense is a little bit more experienced. I trust Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts in the playoffs at this point. I think CeeDee Lamb will step up. I like their run game a little bit more. I think the Cowboys will win that game. And then I have them facing the Vikings. And the main reason I have the Vikings in here is because I think they're going to have somewhat of an easier run to the playoffs because the Eagles are going to get the 1 seed more than likely. But it's going to be a hard 1 seed because they're going to have to face probably the Cowboys, who are like a division winner. Like they could be a number 2 seed in the NFC if they weren't in that NFC East. So I think they're going to have a really, really tough route. And the Vikings, I have them either getting, the 49ers or the Seahawks, which I trust them to beat over the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are probably one of the number 1 contenders in the NFC right now. And I have them actually winning that game. I have the Cowboys beating the Vikings in the NFC Championship game. I think their defense is going to be way too much. So I do have a Cowboys-Chiefs Super Bowl. And I do not have the balls to take I don't know if I have the balls to take the Cowboys over the Chiefs, honestly. This will be a very, very good matchup with how bad the Chiefs' offensive line has been. I really want to say that Micah Parsons and Lawrence are just going to absolutely eat, and they're going to win that football game. But at the same time, I trust Pat Mahomes over anybody else in the league. Yeah, fuck it. I'll go Cowboys. I think Cowboys are going to win that game. I'm going to predict at the midseason point, the Cowboys are going to get healthy. They're going to have a insane passing game when CeeDee Lamb gets back to where he was a year ago. And hopefully Michael Gallup can get fully recovered, and they have Dalton Schultz back. Their offensive line looks decent even without
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, that's what they could add somebody in free agency. If they could add Odell, they get shot right up into the number one spot, in my opinion. I think I would love to see the Cowboys and Eagles play again late in the year with Dak back in there, because I think overall they match up very well with the Eagles, and I just like them, man. I do. I hate it, but I like the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys this year. I think they're the number one NFC contender right now, right behind the Eagles. And I think their pass rush is going to be a little bit too good. They match up really, really well with the Chiefs. They have decent corners. I think they're going to lock up some of those receivers. They have a great defense in general. Their offensive line has played well. I like their weapons. I like their run game. I like the way they match up with them. Am I saying they're going to beat the Chiefs? I'm predicting it, but I'm definitely not saying that is like the favorite thing to happen. But I will predict the Cowboys to win the championship, to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think the most fun Super Bowl matchup that there could be would be the Chiefs and the 49ers. And that is my Super Bowl prediction. Because I didn't mention that when I was discussing my NFC and AFC championships. I do think that would be a very fun Super Bowl. And that's my prediction is the 49ers and the Chiefs. And I think this is bold, but I think the 49ers might do it. And I will predict the 49ers to win the bowl.
Okay, so I did not know about Josh Allen's MCL. So I'm going to sub them out. I'm going to obviously put the Chiefs in number one seed, so they're just going to take out the Bills. And then I have the Dolphins beating the Chiefs. I just think Tyreek's going to go crazy. He's going to be basically like, I'm not losing my old team. That's embarrassing. Not necessarily as it is, but I can see him seeing it that way. And then he'll be facing I believe I took the 49ers. And so I guess me and Hunter have the same one. Actually, I'll put the Cowboys there. I'll put the Cowboys there just so I don't copy Hunter. I like the Cowboys.
Do you have Dolphins, Cowboys, or Chiefs, Cowboys?
Dolphins, Cowboys.
Dolphins, Cowboys.
And I'll take Tua. I love Tua.
See, that's my main thing is like I was really, really hesitant about putting the Ravens there, but I just do not trust Tua in the playoffs. I don't. He has had so many miscues already in the regular season. He looks so shaky. He doesn't look sure-handed at all. I don't trust him in the playoffs. I cannot predict Tua to have a good playoff run.
I can't either, but I mean, just for the views, I'll go Tua.
The addition of Bradley Chubb is huge. Like that defense is really, really good. Everywhere else I trust, and I know Tua's having a decent year, but he does have the best wide receiving core in the league too. I'm not sure I trust him in the playoffs. I'm just not sure I trust him in the playoffs.
They added good old Jeffrey Wilson. I love Jeff Wilson. I think he's a stud. Obviously got him because the 49ers got McCaffrey, so he's kind of just dead space there. I think that was big addition. Now they have a running game. Their other running back, I can't think of his name. He was just irrelevant. He did nothing. I think they did a lot of stuff to make a good push for the Super Bowl at the trade deadline, and I definitely see them doing it. So
I was very close to putting the 49ers in there as well. The only thing is I see the Vikings pass rush being a little bit too much. I think with Trent Williams hurt, you don't know how long he's going to be out. Their offensive line has looked a little bit shaky. So I trust the Vikings pass rush. I also kind of trust their receivers a little bit more in the playoffs. I know trusting Kirk Cousins to make a deep playoff run is kind of something that maybe you shouldn't do, but I like the Vikings this year. They proved to be able to win one possession games. Like every single one of their wins has been won by one possession, or most of them at least, which could be a red flag, but it also could be a green flag. It means they can play tough at the end of the game. It means they can win close games. And I like the Vikings possibly making a deep playoff run this year. But I like the Cowboys more. The Cowboys are my favorite right now. If they add Odell, it adds way more to that agenda. But yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl.
So if the Cowboys take OBJ, I'll take the Cowboys over the Dolphins. But I definitely have Dolphins, Cowboys, and I have Tyreek Hill basically winning the championship. Tyreek Hill, Waddle.
I think the Chiefs are probably the favorite right now just because they have the playoff success in the past.
100%.
They've proven to be able to beat some pretty good teams, or at least stick with the Bills when they had Allen. So it is kind of a hot take taking the Cowboys over them. Maybe that's why I'm doing it. I want to be different. I don't know, but I'll take the Cowboys. It's fun. I like the Cowboys. It's not just that I really like the Cowboys. I think they're really good, so I'm gonna take them.
They are very good. Is that it? Okay, I've had food sitting downstairs for like 40 minutes. I'm getting hungry. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say. Did you have something on her?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
All right. Well, this is episode. Fuck, is this 3 or 4?
4.
4 is episode 4 of What's the Huge Deal. Hope you guys enjoyed. Want us to talk about something? Tell us in the comments, or just leave a comment. We haven't got a comment yet. Kind of depressing. So whoever's our first view, just let me know. I'll give you a good old like and I'll pin it, make you feel all special. This probably be out later Wednesday because I'm gonna eat and probably go to bed. I'm not gonna do the thumbnail tonight, so be out tomorrow. Not that you guys care, but you'll see it later. So sorry. Skip last week because of technical difficulties. Apologize for that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go into depth, but just know it wasn't good.
Ever this week though.
And that mic cutting in and out right there, that was a perfect definition.
Yeah, that's the perfect outlook.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's the episode. Dog.